Hello guys, it's John Wood with the Appalachian Channel, and we're back again with another video of the Mast General Store. Hopefully you watched the video with Lisa Cooper, the daughter of the Coopers who started this store, opened it back up in about 1980, and they have grown over the years to the point that they have, what, 500 employees? Just about 500 employees.
Yep.
So I'm here this morning with Sherry and Susie, and they work in the marketing department. And Sherry is known as their storyteller, and she kind of knows the history, and Susie's kind of shadowing her today and kind of learning, and she remembers the store as a child.
Yes.
And so she came here as a kid, and then later on now she works here. So that was interesting to me that you remember coming here.
Yeah.
And you've been here how long now?
Oh, I've been in the company a little over a year now, but I grew up in Watauga County. So we would come out here in the summers and pick up an ice cold RC cola and some candy, and then head out to the river, which is out back.
How about you're right. And Sherry, you've been here for what, 25 years?
A little bit longer than that. In January, it'll be 30.
30 years.
Yeah, 30
well,
years.
Congratulations.
How is that possible?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I guess it's been an interesting career working with, here at the Mast General Store.
I'll say it's been awesome because I get to kind of follow one of my passions, which is history. So I get to dig up nuggets and share them with people, and which I think is the most awesome thing about working here.
Yep, I've been putting her to the test today. I see something, I said, now where did this come from, and what's its history? So, but what she's going to tell us a little bit today is the origin story of the Mast General Store. It was owned by Taylor's maybe first, and it was bought out, but she'll tell us about that. I don't know the story, she does, that's why she's here. So, but she's going to show us, we're going to look at the store, and she's going to kind of break down a little bit of the growth, how they expanded, and go from there. So what do you want to tell us first this morning?
Okay. Let's talk about the front of the building first,
okay,
and then we'll dig into the deeper history of it.
Okay, great.
So if you look here where most people go in the front, we call it the front room. That's where you'll find the post office and the potbelly stove and the front register and the sodas and things like that. That's not the first room of the store. That's not the first one that was built. That was kind of added on as kind of a lean-to shed to store some stuff, and then it became a doctor's office in the early 1900s. But this, what we call the middle room here, which is right under the peak of the building, was the first part of the store that was built. It was built by Henry Taylor in 1883, and actually what he did is he owned a store here with a man named Moore called the Taylor and Moore store. It was built around the 1850s, and it was across the road, and I'm not sure what happened with the partnership, but according to a ledger that we have from 1861, they were still business partners, and we could see, you know, what people would come in and buy and barter for products at that point in time. So he decided in 1882 or so, I need a bigger store. So he came across the road here and built the middle room, part of the middle room, and you can see, I think Seth mentioned, you know, where the line is.
Yes,
so he built that part of the store, and then he just added on as he needed more space. It's kind of like, you know, when you have a new family member, oh, I need to add another room on the back of the house. Same thing with the store. So the middle room here is where you'll find...
They come by, just stop for a second and I'll cut.
Okay.
There you go ahead.
The middle room here is where you'll find things like t-shirts and souvenirs, toys powered by imagination, Fiesta tableware, and then upstairs is a Christmas shop, and also upstairs is where we have our coffin.
Coffin?
Yes. We used to carry everything from cradles to caskets. If you couldn't make it for yourself, you would come here and order it. So the coffin we have upstairs is a very rudimentary one that would have been probably made by someone in the community. It's more or less a pine box. But we did business with a company called the Bristol Coffin and Casket Company. So people could come in and order a ready-made fancy casket, or they could order handles or the inside vestments for a casket if they're going to make their own. My neighbor in Boone grew up here, and he was into logging. He told me that when they would cut down a buckeye tree, he said it's a sorry wood. and the only people that would take that would be the Bristol Coffin and Casket Company to make cheap coffins. On the far end, which is where we have the shoe room now, that was what was the feed room at one point in time. So you walk into there and find chicken scratch and cow chop and horse feed and stuff like that. And then the room that now houses the knife shop, that was the potato grading room. So there are 2 double doors on the front of the building that lead into what was the potato grading room. So people would bring their pickups or their wagons or whatever and unload their potatoes, and they'd be graded A, B, or C using, which is by size, using a crank to separate them by size, and then they'd be taken to market. So that was part of the way that people would pay for whatever they're getting from the store through the barter system. So this is the potato grading room. These 2 double doors here is where it would lead in to where the potatoes would be stored and graded. These at one point in time would open, and people could easily back up their pickups or their wagon and drop the tailgate here and just unload directly into this area.
So it seems like that the store had a little bit of everything, I guess. Caskets to potatoes to about anything a person would need, huh?
Yeah, I mean, anything that you couldn't make or grow yourself, you'd come to the store to do that, to find that. So it might be school books. You order your school books from here or buy your school books here. Your brogans, your galluses, your overalls, all kinds of things. Horse collars, plow points, horseshoes, all kinds of stuff. So
so it sold at some point. We talked about that, about it selling to becoming to a new ownership, what, in
1897 was when W.W. Mast, William Wellington Mast, bought half interest from Henry Taylor.
Okay.
And so they kind of operated together. We're not sure exactly when the full transition happened, because I've seen different dates in different places. But around 1913 is where it became pretty much cemented as the W.W. Mast General Store. So beginning at that point in time through the early 70s, it was operated by a member of the Mast family, which could have been W.W., it could have been Howard, it could have been H.W., and then a couple of in-laws came in and out during that period of time, but it was all family operated until it was sold in the early 70s.
So did they live upstairs or use the upstairs for store space?
I think that was probably store space, because WW's house was right across the road.
Oh, okay, so WW lived over here.
Yes.
All right, so that house is still, looks like, in great shape.
Yeah, pretty good. It's owned by some of the Mast family still, and they come up on certain weekends during the year and have a good family get together there.
So you just had to come across the street to go to work then?
Yep. Yep, or people would come knock on your door at all hours of the night and say, hey, I need a insert, whatever.
Well, let's step inside and look inside for just a few minutes.
All right. Woo. Lots of people in here today.
So what year do we think the post office got put in here originally?
Depending on what you hear, it's kind of gone back and forth based upon what political party was in power in the county. I think some of that might be made up, but it makes for a good story, and since I am the storyteller, I'll tell you the story. So the Mast family here are staunch Democrats. The Farthing family, which is down at the Annex, which we'll visit here shortly, they were Republicans, and so after an election, if the Democrats won, well, the post office was here. If the Republicans won, well, the post office was there. Don't know if that's true or not, but it's a good story anyway. And there's kind of a Romeo and Juliet element to that as well. But this was brought here, I want to say it was in the early 70s, and it was because Auburn Farthing was required to retire because he'd reached retirement age. And even if you're a postmaster, when you reach a certain age, the government says, this is your retirement age, you must stop. So he retired, and so H.W. Mast went down to the annex and pried the post office up off the floor and loaded it into a 3/4 ton truck, and had enough people with him that they could stand like this behind the mail as it's on the truck as it comes to 2/10 of a mile down the road, so they don't have to take the mail out of the boxes and put it back in the boxes and then put it here in the store. And this is where it's been since the early 70s.
So the store closed in the late 70s though at some point. What do you think was the cause of that?
I think there was a lot of reasons for it closing. It was the winter of '77, and the owners closed and promised that it would reopen in the spring of '78, and that just didn't happen. Starting in probably the 50s, this area changed from a more agrarian economy, people farming, raising cabbage and tobacco and tomatoes and things like that, to going to work in town, because we had all kinds of factories open at that point in time. We had Vermont American, we had a shoe plant, we had an International Resistive Company, and a couple of other things. So people were finding work in town, and it was convenient for them to stop by a grocery store or a supermarket to pick up whatever they would pick up normally here on their way home. So as things began to change, it became harder and harder for a general store to stay open. And it's actually kind of surprising that a store this large would have stayed open until the 70s, actually. But when it was sold in the early 70s, we were one of the longest purveyors of Standard Oil, or Exxon, in the country. So they helped us get the store listed on the National Register of Historic Places, and we had hopes that would help bring more people out here to see the store, and would help in its preservation and bring business. And the group that was operating it was a professor at ASU and a doctor from Atlanta, and it was just hard, is what it boils down to. It was just hard to have business here, particularly in the winter, because if you're not at the ski slope or you're not in Boone where people are staying, you just didn't get the traffic out here. So that was a rationale for closing in the fall and then hoping to reopen in the spring. Luckily, the Coopers had visited the store before and knew, what was in here, and found it inviting and engaging, and were just kind of drawn to it. So when they found out it was for sale, they said, somebody should save that. And Faye said, somebody should save that. We just didn't know it would be us, meaning the Coopers. So it's incredible the work that they put in, and the love of community, not just here, but in all of our communities. And we're lucky to have a group of employees that are just as dedicated to their communities as they are.
So, Sherry, here's something we talked about when we were emailing. Check this out, guys. You might know this family. This is the Gunther family from Muddy Pond Sorghum. Y'all sell this.
Yep.
That's interesting. Good to see those products that we've been filming. We're going to film them in the next couple of weeks being made there in their mills. So
that's quite the process, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's quite the process. So I guess you have a lot of products from some of the smaller manufacturers and family made stuff.
Right. And it's kind of interesting with John and Faye. They talked with a hardware vendor who lives just down the road here, actually, and had served the store, been the sales rep for a long time, and said, what do we need to have in our store that is useful today, but also would have been found here 100 years ago? So he kind of helped advise them, and he also worked for a company that we've done business with since the 1890s or so. And interestingly, we've talked about Knoxville
Yes.
a lot. A lot of the goods that we ordered back in the day, so to speak, came from Knoxville along Gay Street.
Okay.
From McClung, and it's now a brewery just down the street from us.
They were a wholesale distributor,
Yeah.
McClung?
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard that name, but I'm not familiar with them being a wholesale distributor.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I just thought we'd show you a lot of you that watch our videos know the Gunther family. So here's some of their products at the Mast General Stores. I guess it's in all the stores?
It is, I believe, and I use this to make my sweet potatoes
Do
in
ya?
the fall. Yes, it is really good.
All right, we're over in the t-shirt department now, and that's one of the things that Jody and I really like to get is a t-shirt, and we're gonna have to pick one out here in a little bit. We're gonna have to take a minute before we leave to get a t-shirt, but a lot of the times when I film somewhere, they ask if the store has a website where they can order, and most of the time, no, they don't, but you all have a huge website, and it's a big part of your business, I'd imagine.
It's growing, and we try to make our website experience as much like what we're having today as we can, but that's virtually impossible, so to speak. But yes, you can order most anything on the website, and if you don't see it on the website, you can always call our customer service, and they can help find whatever it is you're looking for.
And to find them, I'll try to put a link in the description, but all you got to do is type in Mast General Store and it's going to come up on Google, so to find you all.
Right, or just go to mastgeneralstore.com.
mastgeneralstore.com.
And it'll come up with lots of stuff and lots of information for planning your visit, a deep dive into the history, not only of the Valle Crucis stores, but also of any of our stores.
Yes, you have the history. Yeah, do you still have the brochure there?
I do.
You have a brochure that if you come into the store that you can pick up that's got the history of the Mast General Stores, but they can find this also online, and the history, and then each store, all 11 stores. Mm-hmm. Can you name all of them? What state? How many states? 2?
Actually 4.
4 states.
So
okay.
Let me name them in the order that they were open, because
Okay.
that way I won't miss them.
All
so
right.
It's the original store, the annex, Boone, Waynesville, Hendersonville, Asheville, then Greenville, South Carolina, then Knoxville, Tennessee, then Columbia, South Carolina, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and Roanoke, Virginia.
Oh, okay. 4 different states,
Yeah.
11 different stores, a lot to keep up with. So yeah, you can find any of these stores and visit them any of those locations. Mm-hmm. But this is the original, the old timey, the old wood stores. They're all neat. I've been in probably 3 of them. I think I've been in Asheville and Hendersonville, right?
Right.
There's one there, and I've been there a few times, and then the Knoxville store several times because got that candy in there, so
right.
I like that candy.
Right.
But yeah, so you can visit in any of those locations, or you can come to this original store. And while you're here, like she said, when you go into their website, they've done a great job on your website as far as planning your trip here. You can find all different types of activities in the area to do. So if you want to come stay a week, you can come stay. If you're camping, we stayed at Flintlock Campground. Beautiful place there to camp, and there's Airbnbs, I guess, and
hotels, cabins, condominiums, and stuff, and all that. If you go to the website and look for the store or location you want to visit, there's a visit tab that will help you find local chambers of commerce and Convention and Visitors Bureau to help you find places to stay and things to do.
And upcoming events too, I believe, is on there. So I looked at it a little bit because they put a lot of work into the website. So check it out and look it over, and you can learn so much. Plan a visit to come to North Carolina. There's many other videos that we're making here in North Carolina. I'm probably going to make a playlist on YouTube just of the stores in North Carolina so they can see the area, the different places close to you. And we're going to get ready to go down to see the annex and see the candy.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That's fun. All right. We'll see you on the next video, guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.